Okay, I've got some vocal there, so I'm going to come back over here and take us to the module. And I see 3 have joined. Glad to see all of you. I hope. There we go. I'll mute all. All righty. Kristen here, Thomas, and Jonah. Glad to see you. I know we'll be joined by others. I'm starting a little bit early, and that's just simply because we have a kind of a complex case here that I want to talk about and keep us moving forward in terms of housekeeping. And we scroll down here. We are at week number 2, and today, of course, is the Wednesday version of this Wednesday of this course. Tuesday we did case number 6, which was Badger Jams, and you should have uploaded that. And we've done really every case that we've done at this point. You should just simply have it uploaded. And as I said several times, we're working ahead because we're going to have some slack time that we'll need when we hit the cases in when we hit the access cases. And so this week you've got Guardian Payroll, Roofing, XLS3 that should already have been uploaded, and then you have this chapter, the text on the few text, show me the numbers, chapters 2 through 4, and I had some resources for you, and we've talked about that. Now we're going to move on over. We're going to move down to case number 7 today. We're going to work on it. And like I said, you should always have your textbook with you. That's the Solve It textbook. And we're going to look at a course. We're going to look at a case here called Hardware Nuts. Okay, and okay, whatever. I know. And we're going to work on developing an inventory system. And we're going to look at logical functions for a little bit for the first time and do a little bit of work with that. And this Hardware Nuts at the very bottom of page 67, and that's where the case starts. A key business problem is if I'm carrying inventory, when do I reorder? Okay, so I don't run out. If I run out, I can't sell something I don't have. So this case deals with economic order quantity. And that whole notion of, okay, how much should I have on hand, so, and at what point do I reorder so I make sure I don't run out? And the economic order quantity is designed to do that. Now, if you look over on page 68, you're going to see that, the EOQ, the economic order quantity, and you're going to see it as the EOQ equals the square root of the following, 2 times the fixed cost of ordering times the amount of product needed per year, and that's that 2FU there inside the parenthesis, and that's divided by the cost of the items carrying cost expressed as a percentage of inventory value, and then the item's unit cost. And so we're going to build an expression to do that today. Okay, and I'll show you. And we're going to do some other work with logical functions. Now, before we go too much further, I want to make sure that we are on top of what's going on next week. Next Monday, we'll be into week number 3, which will be the 19th and 21st, and we will start. Next week we'll do case number 8, and then of course 9 on Wednesday. I'm trying to kind of do this so we really build some steam up and get a bit ahead, so we can spend some time. Now, I want to go back up here for just a moment into the resources area, this welcome area with all these different resources. And I believe I've got some information here about the economic order quantity. Okay, and let's see if I do. If not, I may have some over at the supplemental website. You take a look and see. Okay, I may not have done that, reordering. Okay, I'm going to go back over here to the supplemental website that's here. And I'll see if I can find anything over there. The book does a pretty good job of explaining the economic order quantity. And again, we use the EOQ equation, okay, as a way to figure out how much at what point do we order new inventory so that we don't run out. Let's see if we got anything here on EOQ. And thought I might. I'm kind of surprised that I don't here. Oh, let's see. Percent increase. Okay. Yeah, here we are. All right. This is over the supplemental website. There's a link to it there in Canvas. And this is the reorder point, the basic EOQ model, economic order quantity. And then the reorder points links, I have that links, and that's a text. It's got links to resources. Now the whole idea, okay, behind the EOQ and what we're trying to accomplish with it's pretty simple. We want to make sure that we don't order we order enough inventory, okay, to meet the needs of our customers, but at the same time balance that off without tying up our money in inventory that we got on the floor. Remember, when you have inventory, you have to buy the stuff, okay? So you got money tied up, but then you've got to store it somewhere. So then you have that issue or question going on. Okay, so that's a key element of all of this, and so we're trying to balance that off. And if you look there over on page 68, and you take a look at the EOQ formula, you're going to see it's really a ratio for all intents and purposes, and it's the square root really of a ratio, and it's 2 times. And F is the fixed cost of ordering the item. Every time I order, when a company places an order, it usually doesn't matter whether they buy 1 or 1 million. There's a fixed cost to order. So we look at that. Here's our friends back, the fixed cost. And then U is the amount of product needed each year. That's annual usage. Okay. So you can see the top half of that ratio within those parentheses. Okay, that 2 times F times U, okay, that's got that deals with the fixed costs of ordering, okay, and based upon how much we need for the entire year. Then that's divided by the item's carrying cost, and that's expressed as a percentage of inventory value. Carrying cost is the cost I absorb, okay, of having inventory in my possession. I've got to store it somewhere. I have to make sure it's secure and it's not torn up. I've got to have a way to get to it, etc. So here we have a carrying cost, and that carrying cost is somewhat like a variable cost, if you will, and then the item's unit cost, okay. And so we'll see that when we get in. Now, this firm tells us that there's usually a lead time. This is in the near page 68. There's usually a lead time for 2 weeks between the time an order is placed and the time it's fulfilled. Okay, and so there's that 2-week gap. Then they give us some data that we're going to be using there at the bottom of page 68. Assume that the order cost is a fixed cost of $115 for all items. Assume that the inventory carrying cost is 25% of the inventory value for all items in the problem. And then, as usual, they give us the tasks in the case. Okay? Now, I have some resources over here in the files, okay, that we can look at. And I'm going to go back over to the files first. I'm going to go to the Solve It 6.0 files, okay? And we'll come down here. Now I'm going to show you the skeleton file. Student file. And we'll go and this is hardware nuts, okay? And I'm going to open it up and let you see what we're working with. Now, they ask us to add some columns, and I'm over on page 69, balance available, okay, and then the economic order quantity, okay, and so then they want us to develop a method for inventory for identifying any stock items that need to be reordered. And so we're going to have to add another column, okay, and that is order. Okay, we have an order point, and they'll have maybe reorder. So we're going to put this first right here, and we're over here on column H, and this is column H, and then the row number 9, okay, and I'm putting the balance available. Okay, and I'll click back here on G9. I'm going to click Copy, Format Painter, and make it. Okay, and then we want the order quantity. I'll put order quantity, and this is before we do that, I'm going to put in I9. I'm going to put reorder. And I'll squint this out enough that. And then the last one will be the order quantity. Okay. Now let's start with this, and what we have here in this case at this point, where the case number 7 has us use Excel a little bit like a database, because we have a list here, and that's a database table is really a list, but we're also going to do some computational work, okay, and this will help us a little bit in terms of how we're doing this. So on the balance available, okay, that balance of it, and they tell us, can be calculated by adding the balance on hand plus the balance on order, okay? And so I'm going to click equal the balance on hand, and since I'm going to stay in the column, I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of the C, okay, and that will be plus the units on order, okay, and I'm going to put a column in a dollar sign in front of the D. And let's look at this for just a minute, okay? The balance available that I have is the inventory I have on hand and the inventory I've ordered. It's sometimes called, well, if I'm working on it, it's called work in progress. So I don't want to get you confused on that. Now, we've got to figure out the order quantity, and for that we have to do, okay, the economic order quantity, and we've got to do that. We've got to do that equation, okay? And we're going to start with this. we're going to use a conditional statement. Now, I'm going to put this on a notepad, okay? Equal if, and the balance available there is on H9, H11. So I'm going to put $sign H11. Okay, that's the balance available. And then I'm going to say if it's less than, okay, the order point, and the order point will be $sign G11. Okay, I'll put a comma. Then I'm using the square root function, SQRT, and then a parenthesis, 2 times, and the fixed cost of ordering is there on, let's see, the fixed cost of ordering, that's going to be 115. It's 115. Now I need to do this 2 times a parenthesis. 115, that's the fixed cost of ordering. Times the annual usage, and in this case it's going to be $sign F11. Okay. And then I'm going to have another parenthesis, and then I'm a division, and that will be the carrying cost per unit, and the carrying cost is going to be 0.25. That's going to be times the unit cost, okay, and that will be $sign E11. Now let's make sure I've got one. I'm going to take these up, and I'm going to click on format, and I'm going to do font. Okay, I'm going to make this font a little bit bigger for us to see. Okay, so let's look at this before we do the reorder. If we do the EOQ, okay. In this case, all right, we're going to put if H11, and H11 is the balance available, and we have the $sign in front of the H that says we're going to go down the rows but stay in column H, is less than G11. We have a $sign in front of G, which is the order point, and so we'll go down column G starting at row 11. And then if that's true, if the balance point is less than the order, if the balance available is less than the order point, then we compute the following: the square root, okay, of 2 times and the fixed cost of ordering, which is 115, times the annual usage, and annual usage over here is going to be F11, and I have that $sign there. Okay, to say I'm staying in column F, and that's going to be divided by the carrying cost, which they tell us is 0.25, times E11, which is the unit cost, and we have a $sign in front of E. All right, and I need to, otherwise we're going to have a 0, so I'm going to have, I think I may have to add a second parenthesis, and then a comma, and then a 0 as a default value, and then another 0. And let's see if that works. Okay. And so let's see if this works. So I'm going to copy that and put it in there. And I know that yeah, we're good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and decrease the decimal. And that'll end up. So we have to order we need to order, okay, 8,953 units. Now I want to walk you back again through the logic of this so you can see what we're doing here, okay? This is what I would put in column J11 under order quantity. Here's the formula I'm going to show you. Equal if, and then we have a parenthesis, then H11. We have a dollar sign in front of the H because that indicates I'm going to stay in that column, okay, and start at row 11. If H11, which is the balance available, okay, is less than the order point, and that's G11, then I'm going to compute the EOQ by doing a square root. That SQRT is the square root function in Excel. And then I have a parenthesis in front of it, okay? 2 times, and then I have another parenthesis for the numerator of this fraction I'm going to build. And it's 115 because remember they told us the fixed cost of ordering is $115, okay? Times the annual usage, and the annual usage is in column F, and so I start with a dollar sign in front of the F, and I start at row 11, and that's divided by 0.25, okay? And that's the percentage of the cost item. And then we have E11, okay, which is the unit cost, and we put a dollar sign in front of E to indicate we're staying in column E, and we're starting at row 11. And then we have 2 parentheses, okay, instead of brackets, because we want to balance the parentheses. We always know that we need to have the parentheses balance out, okay? And then I've got comma, and then 0, and then another parenthesis. And that's how I got that, okay? Now, again, then I went ahead and I took the value that's expressed here, and I just simply decreased the decimals down to run it up the whole number. Now, I should be able just to drag and drop and have all of this come out for me. Okay? And and let's look at these for just a minute. Now, here's the order quantity. All right? And we just simply use that figure. All right? So we've got and we'll go back here. If the balance available is less than the order point, let's make sure we're in good shape here. The balance point, pardon me, the balance available, that's H11, okay, is less than G11, then we do the EOQ. So that's the balance available. And now, notice something, okay? We haven't carried this all the way down, so we've got some kind of funky looking stuff here. So let's just go ahead and do the balance available and stretch it all the way on down here, and you'll see that start to change. And you're going to see, because we have some cases where we don't need to order any inventory. Okay? So we know that the quantities. Now, this would be easy for me to just say, okay, if there's a number over there and the order quantity, I know I need to reorder. But if I've got 1,000 of these, or 5,000, or 200, or how many ever, it becomes problematic. So I'm going to use another conditional statement. Okay. Notice what I'm doing here, folks. I'm writing these out on a notepad. Okay. I'm writing them out on a notepad before I put them into the formula area. Why? Because I don't want to worry. If I get a bad result, then I'll just have to go in, okay, and mess with it. So now this is for the reorder column. Well, before we do this, let's just check it visually. Let's just go item by item. And do we have the balance available there is less than the order point? Yeah. Same story on the second, the hex nuts. The lag bolts are in good shape there. The pan head screw, no, we need to order. Same thing for the stud anchor, we're good. Okay. And you saw it. So I'm going to put equal if parenthesis, and I'm going to put J dollar sign J 11, and that means I'm starting in column J. I'm going to stay in column J and come down. Is greater than 0. I'm going to put yes, and then a comma, then no, and let's see if that'll work for us. Okay. And so I'm going to paste it in over here. And let's go down and see if it works for us. There we go. Now I want you to notice something. I'm gonna bold these up so we can see them, and then put them in the middle so they're much easier. Now let's look and see. Now, anywhere it says no, we should have a 0 in terms of the order quantity, and we do. Anywhere we have an order, the quantity, and in fact, go back up to J9 for a minute, and let's put the EOQ order quantity. I'll stretch that out a little bit. So that way they know that we've used the economic order quantity. And you say, Dr. Harmon, could you have used the name manager and incorporated it in some of these computations? Yes, you could. Okay. Now what's left with this, all right, is to do a little bit of work, all right, and just basically, format it, make it look a little bit prettier. But again, let's take a look at this, and we can see anywhere there's a no, there should be a 0. If there's a no in column I, there should be a no in column J. And there we are. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this look a little bit pretty. And so I'm going to come here and put a nice blue fill. You can never go wrong with a blue fill. Listen, if you're at work and you're asked to do a presentation, you have to have a screenshot. I mean, get up with your Excel file, okay, and you do a presentation. Use colors that are as business-like as possible. If you come up with, orange mango on the top and Christmas red on the bottom, a lot of your colleagues, especially those fairly older, are going to look at that and go, this person's kind of flaky, because the color just you're not, this isn't, you're not face painting at the fair. You're putting up some serious numbers and making a decision. So you want it to have that look. Okay, you want the data to be right, you want the data to be appropriate, and you want to make it look like it should be. Now, we've used the economic order quantity. And the EOQ, again, is a tool that helps us solve a problem, always a problem for companies, and that is, how much inventory should I have? If I don't have inventory, I can't sell it. If I have too much, then basically I have more money tied up in inventory than I should. And as you recall in our earlier cases, Dabney Financial, when we did the financial ratios, we looked at inventory turnover. We looked at the issue of, what have I got? How much have I got in current assets? Okay, versus current liabilities. And remember that on that one ratio, known as the acid test ratio, also known as the banker's ratio, we take current assets, otherwise known as cash and near cash, minus inventory, and divide that by current liabilities. Inventory is not worth anything until it's sold. And inventory is, for many companies, the biggest hassle they have. Think about it for a minute. Now, I've many times extolled the virtues of Walmart. Let's talk a little bit about somebody like Walgreens. Now, at Walgreens, if they fill your prescription with the wrong stuff, bad things can happen. So if you go get prescriptions filled, have great admiration for those people, because I couldn't do it, because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night worrying if tomorrow would be the day I make a mistake. But they have a tremendous inventory control system and monitoring system, okay, and coding and all that. So the people in there are licensed or registered pharmacists, and when they dispense that stuff, you can be sure. But there's nothing worse than showing up and needing medication and they don't have it on hand. Or they give you a partial bit of medication, so you get to make an additional trip. So for folks like that, okay, who have such compressed space, the next time you go to the pharmacy, look inside there and see how big it is, and ask yourself, where in the world do they get all this stuff? Okay. So the economic order quantity is how much inventory should I have on hand, is a perennial problem, okay, for a company. Okay, and then so I need to know, when do I order and how much do I order? Okay, and that's the point, and that's the point then that I work. So I've got these now. I'm gonna come down here on row 23, and I'm gonna go ahead and embellish it a little bit. All right. Actually, I'm gonna come to row 23 and 24. And I'm going to put some nice blue fill in there so that it does our table. Okay. Then I'm going to come over here to cell A11. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all borders just to make it look nice. Okay. Now, I don't like the font size here. And if you're going to print it out, I'd say take this, cut and paste and put it into a Word doc, and have the layout in landscape as opposed to portrait. Okay. And now some of these again are a little bit, this font's a little small, so we're gonna ramp her up a little bit. So put your cursor on A11 and go all the way over to J22, and let's take that up to 12. And just makes it a lot nicer and be able to look at. And if we have anything that's not showing, let's just go ahead and do that. Okay. And I'm going to do copy, format painter. There we go. Now they've I'm going to put a 0 there. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's just get back. I don't like that. I want to make sure we know it's a 0. Well, this is okay. I can deal with the blank. That tells me that I know I don't need to order anything. Now, just to help with the visual acuity, it's a very simple thing I can do. Okay, I can use our old friend conditional formatting, and I'm going to do that. And on the conditional formatting, I'm going to put highlight cell rules. Okay, and I'm going to get let's see if it's equal to to 0. I'll do the right. Yeah, it's not gonna play nice with me. So let's do this for a moment. Well, let's try this. They're equal to, I'll put the blank. Yeah, how do I want, oh, here we go. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Let's work on the reorder, and then we'll use the conditional formatting for that. So we'll put highlight cell rules, okay, and text that contains no. I'm going to do light red fill with dark red text. And now we have the stuff that we don't need. I'm more concerned about reordering. See, now as I've said before, I've got fragments of these I've worked on. So I'm going to clear the rule for the selected cells. Now here we go. And we haven't broken it, so we're okay. And let's look here. Let's go back to highlight cell rules, and I'm coming down to equal to yes. And we want those cells to be light red fill with a dark red text. There we go. Now we know it's time to order. And of course, if we had a whole bunch of these, okay, then we would have we'd have a mess on our hands. Now, this case, now I want to point something out to you again. If you're about each one of these cases, if you look at page 69, at the bottom of page 69, you'll see an Excel tutorial for the spreadsheet case. And so they'll give you a little tutorial, so if you want to work on it a little bit beforehand, you can. And they show you some logical functions, okay, and some examples of those. And then they even have that little, they tell you about the square root function, insert functions, that type of thing. So we've got a nice little, we've got a nice little table we built here that tells us the annual usage. Okay, and we have, it's a fairly, we've used kind of a vanilla model, if you will, pardon me, of the EOQ. All right, and we get automatic feedback, on if we need to order or not. Okay, and again, you see we used cell referencing. Notice, and again, I'm going to come back up here and let me grab that. On the EOQ, we put the $ in front of the H. So we said I'm starting at row 11, and I'm going to put the $ in front of H, so it says I stay in column H. I start at column H11 and go down column H. The same thing with the G, the $ in front of the G11. This is why cell referencing is so important to you. once you've got it, then you're in good shape. And remember, we have, let me just show you again, just to reinforce for you. Here's what we would call a pure absolute cell reference. That means it's a fixed cell. It doesn't change or differ. And often when we have assumption areas, and express them, we will. Now here's one that we would call, okay, a mixed cell. And this says we're going to stay in column A, starting at row 1. Okay. Now here's one that's a pure this is a non-absolute reference, and this is at A1. Now sometimes when you're doing drag and drops, the Excel will see that and it'll go ahead and follow you, but never take the chance. Put in the cell reference that you intend. Or if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to start in column A, I'm going to start in column A, all right, but I'm going to go across the row. Down the rows. Then I would put, if I'm going to start at row 1 and then go across the columns, I would use this mixed cell reference. So once you've got them, you're in good shape. So we've got a nice reorder in inventory control system setup. We know how much to order based on the EOQ to balance off 2 factors, okay? And that factor is the costs of ordering, okay, versus, okay, the amount of money I have tied up on the floor. That is how much I have to store it. So see, we're kind of back to one of these ratios that washes these data and gives us an indication. It takes the data and gives us that we can use to make a decision. Do I need to reorder? Yes. Okay. Now, we might also in this image, we might also over here have the date that we ordered it. Okay, because remember, over here in the case, all right, they were talking about, let's see here. There's usually a lead time, for example, 2 weeks. This is the middle, near the bottom of page 68. There's a lead time, and that's between the time an order is placed and the time it's actually fulfilled. Okay. Now you'll hear people out there, and you'll run into this notion of just-in-time inventory. And just-in-time inventory is based on the economic order quantity, okay? Except it says, okay, is there a way we could get this down to where we work it right down to 0 units on the floor, and then that 2-week period we have, just as we run out, we have new, we replenish. Okay, easier said than done. Easier said than done. Okay, now, and a lot of this also depends on the type of goods you're dealing with. Now, look, I don't know that many companies have been robbed, so somebody could pick up some hex nuts, okay, or panhead screws. I don't know there's been a big run on that. Okay, no, but I can tell you this: if I'm Hellsberg Diamonds or somebody like that, where the average, I don't know what the median cost of their inventory would be at their items. You don't want a lot of that stuff laying around. You really do want to focus on, you might take orders at your website. You might do orders based on catalog and all that. And then the thing gets paid for. Or people will ask you to put down half, and then when you show up, you pay the other half. It's more and more they want you to pay the full amount and make sure you're committed. Because if you don't show back up with the other half, they've got to put that thing out there and sell it. And the more jewelry a store has sitting around, the more likely it is to be stolen or damaged or both. there's a risk involved in not having enough inventory to sell, and there's a risk involved in having too much inventory or on the floor. Okay, so this case is about finding that balance, as we've talked about, to make decisions. And we could look here, and we're going to see a case, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to do a case where we look at how fast somebody gets our inventory to us. Okay, and more sophisticated EOQ models will also incorporate something like a percentage that they assume will be scrap or will be waste. Okay, and so that's just a whole other order. But the whole idea here is we have this tool that helps us make a decision about how much inventory I ought to have on hand. Okay. So we've done a little we've done a little bit of conditional formatting. We've used some, very simple, cell referencing. And we have a nice little table here that says, yes, how much shall I order, and what quantity, okay? And we have those all there. Now, I'd started off speaking about, do we have, I'd started saying, this case kind of involves using Excel like a database and like a spreadsheet. And it's like a database in the sense that this is really a table, okay? And then we've applied some numeric functions, okay, to see what we get. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my cursor at A9, okay? And I'm going to come all the way down to J22, all right? And if you go over to the editing, click on Home tab, and then come far over to the right, and we're going to look at Custom Sort, and we're going to sort this, okay? Now, make sure that you have on the sort, my data has headers, and it does. And we're going to sort by, and let's sort this by EOQ order quantity, largest to smallest. Okay. And this gives us a sense of the stuff that we've got to order. But I just wanted us to play with this. Now let's go back over here. And we'll go ahead and we can just reverse that by coming up here and getting rid of that. Okay. So the product number, we have everything that we needed to do here to make this look pretty and to convey the information that we need, what we need to order. Okay. Then we'd be able to work out the cost of the order. And we know that we know this based on this case. Every order we place costs 115 bucks. That's the fixed cost, okay? And then the variable cost is going to be 25%, okay, of the item's units cost. So if we want to figure the order cost, we're going to take this first one, and this is going to equal plus, and I'm going to do 0.25 times, and that's the unit cost. So this will be for the carriage bolt. And we know how much it's going to cost us to order that. And we could do this and we can have our full order cost. In fact, why don't we just go ahead and do this? Come over to column L9, come to cell L9, and we're going to do the order cost. Okay? So if we have to do an order cost, we'll do it. And it's going to equal, and I'm going to put a little assumption up here. Fixed cost, fixed cost per order, and that's going to be 115. And I'm going to put the variable cost per order, and that's going to be the variable cost per order. Let's see. The fixed cost of ordering and percentage of value. So I just had the cost. I just had the fixed cost per order. They don't give us. They give us the carrying cost. So we know it's going to be 115 bucks plus the, yeah. Oh, okay, that's going to be simple. This is going to equal 115 plus the unit cost. In this case, it's going to be 11, so I'll put a dollar sign in front of it. Okay. And in fact, I'm going to put a parenthesis there. I'm going to do this on the notepad so you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier. Follow my own, do my own advice. For the order cost, I'm just going to equal. And then I'm going to have a comma, parenthesis, 115 plus parenthesis. And the first one will be $E, and then 11. That's the unit cost. Okay. We got a carrying cost, and I don't know what our transportation cost is going to be. I've got the unit cost. Okay, and we need to multiply that times the order point, which is going to be, that's the order point, and that's going to be G11, $G11. Okay, now let's see if this makes any sense. It's not going to. I've got two, so I need another parenthesis there. And here we go. Okay. I'll put it right here. And my order cost is $15,295. I'm assuming I'm going to my reorder point, the order point. Oh no, that's not right. Because I'll need to know the EOQ. So I'm gonna have to figure each order. So it's gonna be this. And pop it back here. It's going to be equals 115. That's fixed cost of ordering plus E11. And I'm putting the parenthesis in E, the dollar sign in front of E because I'm working column E. Okay. Times $, J 11, and then 2 parentheses. So I can know the order cost. There it is. And I'll drag it on down here and see what I get. All right. Now, wherever I see 115, that indicates, okay? Everywhere I see 115 right here, and I'll go ahead and bold these up a little bit. When I see the 115, there's no order needed. Okay, but otherwise, I can, you know, I can get the sum of what my order will cost me. And if I have a 115, which means I don't have to do an order this time, I'm just going to delete that. And then I'll come down to this, delete that, delete that. And now I know what my order is going to cost me. $36,676.90. So I would know how much money I'm going to have to spend for my order. Okay. Now I don't have transportation costs in there, shipment costs, or anything like that. The fixed cost of ordering is an internal figure, the time it takes to put an order together and send it off. You'll probably have some transportation costs, back to you. If you buy it on time, to trade credit, you may have to pay some interest. Okay, but that shows you roughly what you know that you're going to have to shell out in terms of your orders. And you see, remember when we came here, we had a 115. Here's another 115. And when we see the 115, then we know we didn't need to order. So I can just go ahead and insert a 0 there, just for consistency's sake. I'll put a 0 there, and a 0 there, and a 0 there. And then I can go ahead and I'm going to turn these into currency. And there we have it. My total order cost this time. Plus I'll have transportation costs, shipping, and I'd have to figure in any shipping as well. And if there's interest, if I'm buying on trade credit, I'd have to figure that in too. Okay. So we've covered some ground. We looked at EOQ, economic order quantity, the idea that we're trying to balance off. We're trying to balance off the risks involved of having too much inventory on hand versus not having enough, and knowing exactly how much to order, how much cushion we should have how much cushion we should have on hand so we don't run out. Okay, and we have to assume then that the order point, that this is where 11,500 units, it's at this point, okay, where I'm down to 2 weeks. Now, let's look at this for just a moment, because we're looking at the order point, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to take equal, and this is the order point for the first item, and I'm going to divide it by the annual usage. Okay, and I've got 10%. Okay, so when I get down to 10% of my annual usage, all right, I'm going to order. Now on this other item, look, it's not going to always be the same. This is going to be divided by, let's look out of here. I can get down to 7% of my inventory. Okay. And you say, well, why would it be like that? Well, because we may be dealing with, we're probably dealing with multiple vendors, okay? Or we may be dealing with shipment issues in terms of, they say we only ship in so many quantities, okay? And so we have that issue to deal with. All right? And we'll run into one of those situations, I think, in terms of looking at a vendor. Well, I think we've gone some good distance here. We've studied EOQ. Well, first of all, we've made sure that we had the spreadsheet formatted nicely. We've computed EOQ. We've talked about how to calculate order costs. We've talked about the basic business problem of balancing the risk of having too much inventory on the floor, which ties up my cash, versus having too little inventory, which means I can't sell, because if I don't have inventory, I can't make a sale. We've looked at cell referencing again, how we can use that. We've used conditional formatting again to give us a visual cue. We even went so far as to calculate the order costs, the order cost in terms of just the inventory itself. All right, and so and we've done some formatting, and we've made sure that we have a table that directs the end user's eye down to the data. Okay, so we've pretty much walked through all of that, and we've learned some about logical functions, how we do them, and so we've made some progress today. Okay, folks, well, I started about 6 or 7, maybe 8 minutes early, and so I think we've done enough work today to wrap this up. I appreciate all of you who made it, and again, let me make sure that you do this. Okay, if you had that file and you've been working, we're going to save it right now. You're going to save it on your desktop. And I'm going to save it on mine. All right. And then I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to go down to my desktop. Okay. And I'm going to rename it. Let's see, that was M&D. I'm going to do copy of hardware nuts. This is case number 7. And I would rename it hardware nuts, Harmon, and then you can upload it. Okay. And that will do it. Don't forget, you got a couple of quizzes that are coming up. And so we did XLS7, so upload it where you're supposed to upload XLS7. We've done, and you have 2 quizzes coming up. 1 quiz, excuse me, on Few Chapter 2 through 4. The Stephen Few text show me the numbers. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to wrap it up and call it a day. And I will see everybody. Let's see, this is Wednesday, so I'll see everybody on next Monday. See you then. Okay? Take care now.